Good morning. Welcome to your Tuesday morning, early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum. I almost forgot what I was doing there. All of a sudden I'm staring at the screen going, oh yeah, I pushed the button. A little too early in the morning for me today, I guess. So welcome to your early morning intuitive guidance, where I share some thoughts to ponder, things to consider, opportunities for change to make, etc. Good morning, Abigail. Welcome. You're the first one here today. Welcome, welcome. We'll wait for the tribe of practical rebels to start rolling in. Oh, two more of you just jumped on. Good morning, Beth. Welcome. Good morning, Gwen. Welcome. Glad everybody's rolling in here on this fine Tuesday. So something a little different unfolded this morning. Good morning, Linda. Good morning, Cindy. Here comes the whole crowd. That is awesome. So I muscle tested to see if I was meant to use a card deck today, and the answer was no. So I thought it would default to one of our two typical books, which would be Outrageous Openness by Tosha Silver or Taking the War Out of Our Words by Sharon Ellison, but neither of those tested strong either. And so I was getting a little puzzled and confused. So I tested It's a Book, and that was strong. And so I started looking around. I said, it's on the bookshelves. No. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome. And I thought, well, what else do I have sitting around? I mean, I have stacks of books sitting around. But what tested strong, and I thought, well, isn't this interesting, is by Diana Leaf Christian, called Creating a Life Together. Practical Tools to Grow Eco-Villages and Intentional Communities. And it is a book focused on what do you have to do to build an eco-village or an intentional community. Good morning, good morning. Glad you're here. But as I read the little section, I opened to a page. As I read that little section, I thought, this is applicable to life in general. This is applicable to those of us who are, all of my fellow rebels here, quite on the cusp of what is it I'm here to offer the world? What is it I'm meant to do with my life, etc. So I think this is a really cool little section to read, because I think all of this, it's talking about the title of what I put on this is What Else You'll Need. What else you'll need. And it's basically what's the skill set what are the virtues that we need to have to do a good job on the remainder of our earth walk. So I'm going to start with a little bit that precedes that part, and then I'm going to read that part and just see what speaks to you today. All right? There's something in here for you. Good morning, Carolyn. Welcome, welcome. Glad you are here. There's something in here for you. Boy, I can tell the allergies are really, really up there today. So, some nice deep breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. Letting your shoulders drop in through the nose, out through the mouth. Just filling yourself up on the inhale and releasing on the exhale. So you can keep breathing, I'll keep talking. Bringing in what you need, releasing what you no longer need. May have served a purpose in the past, may no longer serve a purpose. So just like I was figuring out the other day, I've had all these epiphanies lately, and I like to highlight them in yellow in my journal. So good morning, Ruth Ann, welcome. When I go back, I can actually find them. The most recent epiphany being, I'm struggling to part with some of my stuff, even stuff I know I no longer need, because it's anchoring, it's grounding. I'm one of those people who's very head in the clouds and enjoy my head in the clouds because it's so much more pleasant than sometimes being in a physical body walking this earth walk. That can be dense energy. It can be tough, right? Winston Churchill, if you find yourself walking through hell, keep walking. So, to that end, I keep stuff around, and the stuff kind of grounds me. So actually, I've made a new goal for myself, as I was journaling about this the other day when the aha dawned, that I have other tools for grounding. My friend Bobby Silverstone and I exchange energy work weekly, and for a couple of years, several years ago, she and I were working on me being grounded, me staying present in my body, etc. And so I have other tools for doing that. I don't need to keep all this stuff to stay grounded. So let's see what this section says to you. Let's see what chimes for you. If you want to, as I'm reading, if there's things that connect for you, put them in the feed right away. And then we'll chat about them as we go along or after I finish this little section. So if any of you have the book, which is Creating a Life Together by Diana Leaf Christian, it's on page 16. It says, good morning, Tira. Welcome. Glad you are here. Vision, leadership, entrepreneurial skill, and willingness to physically build must be present. Not necessarily all in the same person. So this is talking about a group effort to build something, an intentional community, an eco village, a world, our world, a community. So this is applicable on many levels, all right? As founders, you must certainly have vision, without which nothing will happen. You'll need leadership to inspire yourself and those who will join you to support that vision. You'll need one or more entrepreneurs who know what will work financially and who are willing to take a risk, and thus inspire the rest of you to take a risk. And you'll need to get physical on the land to turn your vision into reality. Given these ingredients, here's my recipe for growing an intentional community, for growing a world, for growing community, period. All right? 1, imagine, visualize, or feel something that doesn't exist yet. So you're going to have your idea, whatever your idea is. Some of you are working on retooling from a career that you're finishing up. Some of you are realizing the career you're in isn't the right fit for you anymore. So you start with imagining, visualizing, or feeling something that doesn't exist yet. Or you see something that someone else has created and you have an offshoot of that. So I'm reading Jamie Kern Lima's book called Believe It, and it's her story of going from, let me see if I can, it's something along the lines of underappreciated, undervalued, whatever, to manifesting the true self, manifesting what she was here, what she is here to create. Okay? So number 1 is imagine, visualize, or feel something that doesn't exist yet. Number 2, inspire yourselves and those who join you to believe your particular vision is possible and you can make it happen. Number 3, use entrepreneurial skills to do all this within your estimated budget and time frame, revising either as necessary. Often when you have a great idea, whatever it's going to be, you're the person who invented Uber, you're the person who invented Velcro shoes, whatever it is, there's going to be all those naysayers who tell you that it can't be done. Ask them to step aside so that you can get it done. Someone else's opinion of your opportunity isn't necessarily valid. Might seem valid for the world we're already in, may not be valid for the world we're creating. All right? And number 4, use labor, tools, and energy to create the physical expression of your vision on your property. So again, she's talking about building a community. We can be talking about building anything that comes to your mind, the better mousetrap, whatever it is. Now here's the section on what else you'll need. Your group will also need patience, faith, good communication skills, tenacity, and the willingness to acknowledge each other. So let's read about those. Have patience. Forming an effective working group, learning good decision-making and group process skills, researching your options, acquiring and if necessary developing properties simply takes time, from 1 to several years, depending on the scale of your plans, how many of you are in your group, how well capitalized you are, and other factors. So there's one of the pieces that I want to speak to about money, M-O-N-E-Y, right? There is a whole faction that believes that money is evil. Money is the root cause of all problems, blah, blah, blah. Actually, that biblical verse, that's not what it says. It says the love of money, basically to the exclusion of all else, is the root of the problem. So we in America tend to overvalue the value of money, right? And many people are willing to do heinous things to gather more capital and impact other people negatively. However, there are also vast numbers of people who use wealth, who use money, who use influence to create positive outcomes. All right? And I want us to keep that in mind. It's not the problem with the money. It's what we believe about the money, do with the money, etc. All right? Regardless of how everyone in your group would like things to progress more quickly, they probably won't. When you're taking on the creation of an adventure, let's say some of you are going to buy a house that needs repairs, or let's say some of you are going to build a company, or some of you are going to start a group for something, a book club, whatever. It's almost 100% of the time going to take more time than you think it's going to. Don't let yourself get bent out of shape about that. Remember our stuff about divine right timing and divine right order. Whatever it is, even if it feels way too slow to you, because my project certainly does, know and trust that it is in divine right timing and divine right order. You'll also need to consider the timetables of others involved, including lawyers, zoning officials, and lenders. So that's for the particular building project. There's several people who warn that founders must understand and accept the difference between what is and what is not in their control. Many of us like to believe we have far more control than we do. We have this illusion of control. And then something will occur and that whole illusion can come smashing to the ground, right? So, realizing what we do have in our control. There's a couple that are project managers on a particular project, and they say probably 95% of the major variables involved in forming a community are not in the founder's control. Think about that. Good morning, Joe Bell. That by necessity means we are working with the divine timing. What we need will come to us in divine right timing and divine right order. It's already been selected for us. I'm so happy and grateful it's on its way to us. Keeping that mindset, regardless of what it is, if it's a new relationship, if it's a new job, if it's a new to you vehicle, whatever it is, new living situation, if you come from the perspective of it's already been selected, it's out there in the ether for me, I'm waiting for it to manifest. In the interim, I am doing my due diligence so that there's space for this to come into my life when the timing is right. You're setting yourself up beautifully, beautifully. To make expectations more realistic and reduce anxiety, some experienced community founders recommend taking your most optimistic timing estimate at the beginning of your project and doubling it. So think about that. If you think whatever it is, we're going to renovate this house, it's going to take us 2 years. Change your number to 4. If you are saving money to get a different vehicle and you think this is going to take 2 years, double it to 4. Because then your perspective is going to shift also. Okay, if this is going to take me 4 years to make this money, maybe I'll get a part-time job. Maybe I'll get a little side hustle going. And you may make some changes that actually then can reduce that timeline. But when you look at it from that perspective of I'm going to double, whatever I think it's going to be, I'm going to double it, then you're not in the position of being as frustrated when everything takes however long it takes. Second thing is faith. Trust that it's meant to be, that you're being guided by a higher power. So this woman, Diane, would have been overwhelmed by fear and a sense of responsibility in what she and her partner and the others in their group were attempting to pull off, but was repeatedly saved by her willingness to trust that it is meant to be. Oftentimes, you watch the synchronicities unfold. How many times even here on these Zooms have I said, in response to someone sharing something, there are no accidents. There are no accidents. When it's meant to unfold, it's going to unfold. Even when we get in the way and muck it up. That might delay it, but it's still going to unfold. It's meant to unfold, right? After so many synchronistic events that didn't fit the scientific odds, I chose to act as if some higher force was really in charge, that the project was really a kind of sacred trust that we were privileged to take on, she recalls. This belief allowed me to trust that things would actually be taken care of. Other founders have relayed similar stories of trust and courage in the face of what seemed like overwhelming odds against their project. So again, this Jamie Kern Lima book, she got married. She and her husband both quit their jobs. They poured themselves into building this business out of their living room. And years and years and years of no, 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 no. Her tenacity is what kept things going. And finally, doors opened. A door opened. And then other doors began to open. So that little cosmetic company that she started out of her own need to have cosmetics that didn't melt under the hot lights of her job as a news person began to grab hold. And when she sold her company, it went for $1.2 billion cash to L'Oreal. Can you imagine how much faith and trust there had to be to go from I'm doing this stuff in my living room to I've just sold for $1.2 billion? That's stick-to-itiveness, that's courage, that's faith and trust and bravery, etc. Think about us. We're going to do this also. We are doing this. We have done this. If you look back over your life, you will find the examples of you having the faith to see something through even when it was difficult and painful. All right? So, lather, rinse, repeat. Next thing, I love this one. This is one of my favorites. Good communication skills. Your group will no doubt find strength in your members' diversity, yet that can also be a challenge. You'll need to learn how to hear and accept perspectives quite different from your own. Jamie Kern Lima talks about that in her book. She married a man who was born and raised in Brazil. How the Brazilians do things was different than how the Americans do things. How Americans in the North do things is different than how Americans in the South do things. Americans of certain ethnic backgrounds do things very differently than Americans of other ethnic backgrounds. People are different. Have a curiosity. Seek understanding. So in that particular case, the issue was they had had a first date. It went really well, and she was waiting for him to call her back. And then actually they set up, was it either the first date or the second date? Anyway, he didn't show up. He thought it was a suggestion. She had it down as a firm date. It was about how they processed it. So again, good communication skills can make all the difference. Besides obvious differences of gender, age, economic circumstances, or spiritual or religious orientation, you may differ widely in your communication styles and in your needs for safety, self-expression, recognition, and connection. You want an interesting combination? Get together an Italian and a German. Oh my goodness. And the guy who taught some of the courses I've already taken, Laird Schaub, talks about that difference. People from, yes, definitely do things differently. Absolutely. People from a more Germanic background are very stoic, very, they might offer their 2 cents worth. They might keep their mouths shut. The gears are turning. There's lots going on, but they're not. And the Italians are out there to, talk and yell and carrying on. And they don't fit together very well, right? The Italians may view the Germans as aloof, cold, detached, whatever, and the Germans may view the Italians as unhinged, out of control, loud, blah, blah, blah. It's merely differences. And when we can talk about those differences, no, this is how we work something through. We yell at each other. We're not mad at each other. We just yell a lot. And eventually we come to a conclusion. And the other group might be, nope, we write things out on paper. We ponder ideas. All is good. All is good. We must learn how those others view things and process as best we can through their lenses, not through our lenses. Yep. Some will express themselves intensely and often. Some will share how they feel. Others will consider bringing up feelings irrelevant or annoying. Some will want to gather data, consider options, and plan extensively, while others will want to dispense with all the talking and get on with it. In fact, the kinds of people attracted to forming community are typically explorers, doers, risk takers, and entrepreneurs, and as such likely to be impatient with the nuances of skilled group process or consensus decision making. And I experienced that myself when I first moved to Rapid River, and the people indigenous to that area, again, the people who own the motel, the man was native, and when they would do their talking circles, sitting in a talking circle, I'm like, why are we hashing this stuff all out? Why is everybody having to put in their 2 cents worth? Why can't we just make a decision and move on? Not how it goes. Not how it goes. Learning to appreciate that process and what came out of that process of everyone having a voice. There's such value in that. But again, we oftentimes pay short shrift to that and let's just move on, make a decision, let's vote. Okay? So that's a good one, the good communication skills. Tenacity. Tenacity. You'll need determination and stamina. The ability to hold to a vision and persevere has made all the difference between groups that built their communities and those who felt too discouraged to continue. All right? And how many books and examples are there of people quitting just short of success? Keep going. Keep going. Even in the Jamie Kern-Lima book, when she's getting hundreds of no's, but she knows she has a good idea, and she knows that the average person is going to benefit from her ideas. And she keeps pushing past all the experts who tell her that's not how this thing goes. Okay? Sometimes it will seem like the process is going well and moving forward. Other times it'll feel like you're stopped at every turn. Keep your eyes on the goal, lean into the wind, and keep traveling. That's a great way to think about it. Keep traveling. Just keep traveling. I've got my little picture posted on my computer screen here, so every day I see this is what I'm aiming for. This is what I want to create. This is the goal. All right? And the last one is willingness to acknowledge others. I think many of us are abysmal at this. I actually have made this a goal in the past and practiced it. If any of you know the DISC personality inventory, I am a D, second is I, but D, dominant, get things done, do, blah, blah, blah. I had to train myself that when I came into the office on Monday morning, I looked at Marlo and I said, how was your weekend? Instead of, let's do this, how's this coming? Are we getting this done? Yada, yada. No. How was your weekend? I had to train myself to do that because it's not inherently wired in who I am. Okay? So, willingness to acknowledge others. You'll need to thank and acknowledge each other many times for ideas, proposals, legwork, research, patience, living room meeting space, snacks, tea, childcare, whatever it is. There's no faster way to slow down progress than burnout. Hear that again. There's no faster way to slow down progress than burnout, which usually results from too many long hours of contributing to a common cause without recognition or acknowledgement. Jamie Kern-Lima talks about in the beginning doing 100 hours a week. 100 hours a week. She and her husband and her friend. So they had to be doing some things in there to refuel the tanks. Thank you for making that phone call. Really appreciate you going to pick that stuff up for me. Whatever it is, be grateful. Be grateful. As parents, we oftentimes have this really bad habit. As long as things are going along swimmingly with the kids, we kind of ignore them. They're humming along on their own. We put the autopilot on. When something starts going bad, then we pay attention. Stop fighting with each other. Get your homework done. That's when we pay attention. So we've then reinforced whatever it is that was the bad behavior that we didn't want. Start practicing up. If your parents, if your grandparents, I love how you're sitting there playing so nicely together. I love how you're reading by yourself. I love how, reinforce what they're doing that allows you the space to go do other things. Don't just focus on what they're when the wheels fall off, all right? Because then you're setting it up for the wheels to fall off more. Let's see. Everyone's essentially a volunteer in this process. Oftentimes, when a leader is too dogmatic and whatever, you'll hear the troops saying things like, we're volunteers. I don't have to do this. I can go do something else. We're all volunteers in a way. Even when we go to a job that we get paid for, we're still volunteers in a way. And we need to keep that in mind. We're all essentially volunteers, gifting the group with your time and life energy to fulfill the vision, okay? You're going to need to feed each other with the basic nourishment that keeps volunteers going, the simple courtesy of heartfelt thanks. So that's as much as I'm going to read today. I'll show you the cover of the book again in case you like this and you want to either join me in creating an intentional community or create something else, but needing to operate according to these principles so that you make it to the finish line. All right? So put some ideas in our feed. What is it that you're wanting to create? What is it that you're wanting to accomplish? Again, mine's an intentional community. I'm taking on other tasks as a part of that because it's kind of a package deal. But my heart and soul lies with the intentional community. Creating affordable housing for people that has a community piece there to combat the loneliness that people feel right now. That's epidemic. All right? So what about you? What is it you want to create? Are you wanting to create a happy family, a good marriage, a better job, a more beautiful living space? What do you want to create? Your second act, if you've just retired and you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs, your second act, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? This fabulous, wonderful life that I have. What am I going to do with it? Throw some things in the feed. I will comment on them when I get back to posting this for all the other platforms that I tend to post on. But I hope that was helpful. I hope that gave you some stuff to chew on because, again, oftentimes we operate our lives by default. We just sort of go on autopilot and do stuff instead of really taking a look at being planful about what we're doing. So, your mission for today, should you choose to accept it, is I want you to contact 3 people in your life and thank them for something they've done for you. Thank them for something. So it might be your partner. Thanks for making coffee every morning. I really appreciate it. And I don't always tell you that, but I really appreciate it. Thanks for keeping the lawn mowed. Thanks for whatever it is. Thanks for cooking for me today. I really was tired and I didn't have the energy to do it for myself. Thanks for cooking for me today. 3 people. All right? Commitment, pinky swear, 3 people. And it can be something from 20 years ago. All right? Thank you for the beautiful sunshine and rainbow, Tira. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great day. We'll see you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Bye.